Now let's talk about the graph and profit maximization for monopolistic competition. The great thing is that's the same steps as a monopoly. We're still going to have a demand curve, a marginal revenue, and a marginal cost. We're going to find out where MR equals MC. That's always where you have profit maximization. From that point, you're going to go straight down to find the quantity, and you're going to go straight up to the demand curve to find the price. All right, and then from there you can find your ATC and then your area of profits or losses. Remember, we have to find out the marginal revenue equals marginal cost first to find the quantity. Once we determine the profit maximization quantity, we can then ask the consumers, hey, I have 50 t-shirts available. What's the most you're willing to pay for this? So that's why we go to the demand curve to figure out the price. So what this is going to look like is something like this, where we have our demand curve, our marginal revenue, our marginal cost, and our ATC. So I'll draw this step by step to really show you the difference of what we're looking for in terms of profits, losses, and also zero profits. Okay, so we're going to do profits first, and again, this is the same steps as a monopoly. Okay, all right, so we have a demand curve, we have a marginal revenue, we have a marginal cost, and we have our ATC here. So again, step one, MR equals MC. That's how we find the quantity. We'll find the price by going up to the demand curve. All right, and then we can find our ATC right here. So this is our profit area here. And the reason we know it's profits is because your price is greater than your ATC. Let's do losses. So we'll have our price, our quantity, our demand. We'll have our marginal revenue, marginal cost, but then again, because we're having losses, our ATC is here. So we'll do MR equals MC, maximize profits at this quantity. We'll have this price here, but then our ATC is way up here. So this area is our losses because again your price is less than your ATC. Okay. Now for the zero profit, okay, we need a point where the price is equal to the ATC. So what that'll look like is we have price, quantity, demand, marginal revenue, marginal cost. The easiest way to do this is to figure out the price first, okay, and then we want an ATC that hits this point, goes down, and then goes back up, okay. So this is an area where we have zero profits as well, okay. Now, the same factors that affect the demand curve and supply curve that we talked about in chapter 3 do apply here. For example, let's say there is an increase in consumers' income, or there's an increase in the price of a substitute. That changes the demand for this product. So what would that do to this firm? For example, let's use Starbucks coffee. All right, so this is the graph for Starbucks. If they saw the price of Dutch Bros go up, we could see an increase in the demand for Starbucks. So what would that do? Well, that would increase the demand for Starbucks, and then that would change the marginal revenue curve as well. Okay. Now, the cost doesn't stay, the cost stays the same here because Starbucks doesn't change anything with their production process. They just saw more demand for their product, so they're making more. However, because they are having an increase in the price, so demand's up, price is up, their marginal revenue goes up, this gives them incentive to produce more at this quantity, right? What would happen is if your marginal revenue goes up, your MR will be greater than MC, so you should produce more. So that's what's going to happen. We are going to increase our quantity to here. Now the same thing, we'll go MR equals MC, we'll go up to the demand, and we'll find the price there, okay? So Starbucks has the incentive here to increase prices as well because of the increase in the substitute and that increased their demand. Okay, so the main thing here is because we saw this increase in demand, this does change the margin revenue and this changes the quantity for the firm to where now they are enjoying nice profits. Okay, so that is how the same factors we talked about in chapter 3 affect the demand and the supply curve here in this firm. Now that does go into what we're going to talk about with the long run adjustment. Remember, with the long run, if you saw someone earning a profit, what do you think other people think about doing? They think about starting a business as well. They want to earn money. They want to steal away some profits from that firm. And so this will change the demand for that individual firm. In fact, the supply of the firms will increase in the actual market for whatever it is. Okay? With more options, you don't have to keep buying from a particular brand anymore. You will then try somewhere new. So your demand for this firm goes down and you would increase the demand for the new firm. All right? So the entry of other firms in the general market shifts the demand for that monopolistically competitive firm. Let me show you as an example, okay? So Starbucks was the coffee shop that everybody went to, and they were enjoying nice profits. What happened next was we had more mom and pop coffee shops start popping up to where now we had consumers stop buying from Starbucks and start buying from the local coffee shops. So the decrease in the demand for Starbucks has decreased because now we're buying from the mom and pop shops. So that's what's happening here. Because a monopolistically competitive firm is earning profits somewhere, we're going to steal away the demand for that to give it to somewhere else because we have more firms entering. The same way works if the firm is earning losses and they have their price below ABC, they would shut down. So if the mom and pop shops shuts down, guess what you do? You go back to Starbucks. Less demand for the mom and pop shop and more demand for Starbucks. To where eventually we do have our long run adjustment, which ends up right back at price equals ATC. Anytime there's profits, firms enter. Anytime there's losses, firms exit until eventually there's zero profits in the long run. So let me show you. Okay, if we're earning profits in an industry, what's going to happen is we have our demand, marginal revenue, marginal cost, and ATC. So this is Starbucks before all the mom and pop shops started happening. Okay, so they were enjoying nice profits here. Okay, they were having economic profits before the entry of firms. But because we have economic profits, more firms enter. And because there's more firms entering, the people that used to go to Starbucks don't go there anymore. They go somewhere else. And so this would lower the demand for Starbucks, lowering the marginal revenue curve, right? To where eventually we would end up at a new point where your profits are decreasing, okay? Now, if you go to where you're earning losses, such as here, where you have all the same steps here, but now your ATC is up here. If firms are earning losses in this area, firms are going to shut down. The mom and pop shop shuts down to where now people start going back to Starbucks because those other firms exit the market. The demand for Starbucks is now increasing, okay? And then that increases the marginal revenue here to where now, guess what happens? Your price is equal to your ATC, okay? So the point where there's no economic profits, that's your long run equilibrium. The main thing I want you to know is that when there's entry for the existing firm, the demand for the existing firm goes down. That decreases the price, that decreases the marginal revenue, so your profits go down. You need to produce less, okay? When there's an exit of firms, what happens is now those customers don't go to the new coffee shop anymore, they go back to you. So now you see an increase in demand, an increase in price, so now you're going to make more money, so you should sell more, and now you would increase your profits again. And this is going to happen back and forth until eventually there are no more profits to be made, and that is your long run adjustment. Okay. The next thing we'll talk about is the efficiency in monopolistic competition.